One of the very first videos that I ever made was about the Asus Raid Strix Pro. I was still at my old desk and, well, let's just say this wasn't one of my masterpieces. This sound card is the Asus Raid Pro Strix Pro. This sound card, and it comes with a large knob. Well, let's just keep it at I was on my infant stage when I created this old video, but still I'm rather proud of it. Back then I didn't have the original packaging, and since I'm somewhat of a sound card collector, a box is essential to me. So when I saw this Asus Raid Strix Soar with the box, I just had to have it. Second hand, of course. Okay, it isn't identical to the Pro, but that really doesn't matter. So this is my new and improved review about the Asus Raid Strix Soar and Pro. Well, hello there and welcome to a new video over here on Anton's Hardware channel. So today is about the Asus Raid Strix, the Pro and the Soar. Now, even though it's not immediately clear, the Soar isn't the same as the Pro. The Soar is the cheapest version, the Pro is a slightly more expensive version, and there's even a more expensive version, the DLX or Deluxe. Both the Pro and the DLX have a large volume knob, which I have here, that you can attach to the sound card by plugging it into the extra black connector. Now, even though the Soar does have the right socket, it doesn't seem to be able to initialize the same volume knob. Okay, so this is the budget version, the Soar, and will cost you at the moment of recording here in the Netherlands €85. The more expensive version, the Pro, the card that was featured in the old video, is now priced at €115. The most expensive version, the DLX, will set you back €169. Now on the outside these cards are identical and don't really give a clue about the price. Okay, well, there's this large volume knob, but there must be more to it. So what are these exact differences? Let's take a look at this sheet. Now all three have the same audio processor, the C-Media 6632AX. Now this is a very standard audio processor that is used in so many other sound cards. In my last video about the sheet hell, I talked about the CM6635, which is an evolved version of the 6632. A pretty decent audio processor that dates back from 2012. Now both the Soar and the Pro have excellent ESS Sabre ES9006A digital to analog converters, but the DLX has the more expensive and better 9016. Now the 9006 is of an older generation than the one used in the HAL, but it is still a very capable digital to analog converter. Now it supports PCM stream of 24 bits and 192 kHz and supports Hyperstream technology. Now this term Hyperstream is used to describe a specific implementation of the delta sigma modulations, which is a more common technique of the digital to analog conversion. So I'm getting a bit technical here. In delta sigma modulation, the audio signal is oversampled to a very high rate and then processed to produce a high resolution digital representation of the audio. Now this high resolution digital signal is then converted back to an analog output using filtering and decimation techniques. Now the Hyperstream architecture implemented in the ESS Sabre decks aims to improve performance by reducing noise and distortion. It employs various techniques such as advanced oversampling, noise shaping and sophisticated digital filtering algorithms to achieve enhanced quality. Op amps are of course common on sound cards, the operational amplifiers. Now most of the time they are either integrated into the DSP or just low-end components. Now Asus has chosen to use quality op amps, which I like to see of course. The op amps for the Soar is the LME 4970NA, the TPA 6120 for the Pro and the LME 49600 plus a 4970 for the is in a combo for the Deluxe. Very difficult. The op amp for the Soar is just a great performer. It's a dual high performance, high fidelity audio operational amplifier. The TPA 6120 on the Pro has been used as the hi-fi op-amp for a long time. With an excellent total harmonic distortion of 112 decibels and a dynamic range of 128 decibels, this is just a very capable op-amp and better than the op-amp on the Soar. Now, based on this, you can say that the components are starting to show their age, but they are still very capable. I like the digital to analog converter used, especially the 9016 by ESS. I like the op-amps. It's just great to see that Asus made an effort to create something with attention. And now let's head over to the driver interface, the place where you can set up the sound card to your specific liking. Now for me that means putting everything in neutral mode, simply because I dislike most settings. But this card does have some tricks up its sleeve that I liked. So let's take a closer look at the driver interface. Okay, and now we have the driver interface, which looks like this. Okay, some of it is still in Dutch. I just don't know why. This whole complete system was reinstalled with the English language as default. The only Dutch thing that is present is the keyboard, but the rest is all in English. But somehow, Dutch trickled into the application, and here and there you can see English, and here and there you can see Dutch. Well, first up, let's start here. These are the outputs. Do you want to use the SPDIF or Sony Philips digital interface, headphone, or loudspeakers? And by pressing the right mouse button, you can choose it to set as your default device or something else as your default device. Here you have the overall volume with a small channel mixer if you are using more than 2 channels. This is the playback configuration if you want to use 7.1 for instance. The sampling frequency, which goes up to all the way to 192 kHz, and of course 24 bits. This is the line in if you want to use the microphone or the line in, and whether you want to mute or do other things with the line in. Here you have the audio enhancements, your standard equalizer, which you can turn off, or of course you have several presets that you can use. The bass boost, voice clarity, and the compressor, these are interesting when playing games. Here you have the tuning for the virtual sound for, if you have more than, several channels. Say here you can have the balanced front pan or rear pan. If you want to use it, the reverb, shouldn't know why you would even want to use it. Here you have the noise gate, which is also interesting. With noise gate is something like the compressor, and perfect voice, which enhances your voice. Now down here you have the Sonic Radar Pro and the Strix Raid mode. Now both of these are things that, I just didn't got it working. Don't know why, but as I don't use it anyway. So this is what the driver interface looks like. I do really enjoy this driver interface. It has everything that you could want, everything that you could need, and more. I mean, it's very clear what you can use. And, I just enjoy using this. Now, the driver interface really doesn't matter. Just how good is this sound card? Let's head over to the Rightmark Audio Analyzer results. Now, sadly, I don't own a DLX, so I can't show you the results of that sound card. Now, if I get my hands on one, I will create an update of this video. First, it's the results for the Soar, then the Pro, and then the Pro with the volume knob. Now, these ratings are, good. It's great to see that an overall performer which has these kinds of ratings every now and then. Okay, when we look at the graph for the frequency response, you can see that it's not completely flat. And that is something that I want to see. But that's only at the very low and the higher frequencies. So it's past the 40 Hz on the lower end and past 20 kHz at the higher end. And that's not really audible. Great results for a card that only costs 85 euros. And what about the Pro? Well, here you can see slightly better results, as you may expect from the components. A lot of goods, 1 average and 2 very goods. And when you compare results with the Soar, you can see that the Pro is better on nearly every front. And what about the volume knob? Now, usually I don't recommend using these kinds of devices. They always nearly tend to introduce more distortions by EMI, poor components, or other influence. But not with the Strix. I mean, these results are, well, identical. Okay, not identical, but they are very, very close to each other. After listening to both sound cards for quite a while, I've found that the difference in quality becomes noticeable after some time. The Soar is, well, it's just a great card that improves the overall audio quality. It felt accurate, balanced, in control and delivering quality audio. As for the Pro, it was slightly better. Even more in control, creating a slightly better soundstage and deeper audio. Now, during gaming, both cards are, well, monsters, and I mean that in the better sense of the word. It was thrilling to listen to with pinpoint accuracy of my opponents, especially with the Pro. Now, at one point I was even thinking, why not make this my default gaming sound card and ditch the creative GC7, which is, well, somewhere back here. GC2, which I've been using for several months now. And now for my conclusion, what do I think about both the Soar and the Pro? Well, you may have guessed it, these are very capable sound cards that I will wholeheartedly recommend. The Soar is nicely priced and you get a quality sound card. If you have a bit more to spend and want better quality sound, get the Pro. Now, I do hope to get my hands on the DLX soon, and when I get it I will create a new video. But until then, thank you for watching, and I'd like to see you in the next one. See you then, bye bye!